Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
Hello, this is Chris Parker, and welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. For this first edition of the podcast, I thought I would interview myself and explain a little bit of the background, why I'm doing this, ask me the questions that I hope to ask the people I interview. Now, I have been busy already. I think I'm up to probably 17 or 18 interviews already. And I have just been delighted with the quality, the richness, the type of people that have agreed to come on from all sorts of backgrounds. That's why I call it Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere, because these are people who are, fulfilling oftentimes their passion and sustaining their lifestyle with the work they do. So the first question is, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do what you do? So again, Chris Parker, hello. I am originally, or you could say half American, born in Los Angeles in 1971. About 20 years ago, I moved to Europe. And since then, I have achieved a second passport. So I'm a Dutch passports in Europe. Educationally, grew up on the West Coast of the U.S. I have an undergraduate degree in accounting, which is interesting because my first semester of college, I failed accounting flat out. Maybe that stuck with me, and I had to show it to the system that I could actually do this thing. MBA at Nyenrode, one of the top business schools in the Netherlands. Professionally, I have been doing various things, usually related to technology. So way back in the day, even working with Apple when I was on campus, and even before that with Nordstrom, which was a bit of a customer service angle, not so much technology. Then in telecom, software, enterprise software, building data centers, shared service organizations in Ireland. And then it started to, fork a bit. Spent some time in corporate strategy, eventually a group CIO, financial services. Since then, I've been managing director of an IT organization, most recently a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, for an energy company that was splitting itself to become an energy technology and software company as well. So my professional self is based in three things. I think an accounting background. That's where I'm looking a lot for business value, maybe unusual for a CIO or a CTO. The technology aspect, which is simply because I'm a endlessly curious problem solver and team builder, and around technology, that always seems to work that way. And maybe it's because when I was very little, we went to Disney a lot. My dad had worked with Disney in Anaheim. Also maybe with the Nordstrom. And Nordstrom is the top, customer service clothing department store in the U.S., maybe the world. That certainly infected me. So for the last 10 plus years, I've been seriously involved in customer experience strategy and design. So accounting, financial basis, technology themes, and serious interest in the psychology and the tactics of customer experience design. Now, where do I use these things? I'm involved in three different types of activities. One is traditional, you could say corporate or business roles, which I've already described a bit. Pretty much with organizations that are building or changing or transforming. Ideally, if they're going international, or if they're addressing a new proposition to a new type of customer, if they need to build a team that can meet that need, or perhaps change their technologies along the way and their processes which are supporting that. That's where I make my money. Where I spend my money is I am a producer of films. So we've made 3 feature films, and that's for another story, and I'll interview some of those people. We have used agile techniques and methodologies in order to produce, I think, very nice, independent, full-length films for quite a low amount of money compared to a traditional way of shooting film, and certainly compared to Europe or Hollywood. And the third thing I do, and that's what Ebullient is all about, is coaching. Now, I didn't decide to be a coach. In fact, currently I even call myself a business accelerator, because that's essentially what I do. And in all those other roles, corporate roles in film production, that's also a sort of coaching, so bringing people together, establishing a sense of purpose, sense of goal, enabling them with the right tools, structures, even funding, perhaps. And people keep asking for advice or me to get involved in different things. And so over the last years, I've realized the term for that is actually coaching. So I am proudly a business coach. Ebullient came about through this Corona COVID time where my last CTO role had just finished. I was able to spend some time with the family, which was fantastic. Really try to create a safe space for them while all this craziness was going on. And so that also gave me some freedom to actually geek out a little bit, build the website, completely over-engineer the products and services, completely over-engineer. I actually have a whole online learning environment built. You'll never see it because I should never have built it myself, but I wanted to try it, so fine. And the basis of Ebullient is the Simplicity Scan. And the Simplicity Scan has been developed over the last number of years when I realized that there was a bit of a formula or a framework that I looked at companies, businesses, organizations, initiatives, ideas, and I was somehow able to figure out pretty quickly, yeah, this isn't going to work, or, ooh, this might work. And what I settled on saying is, and I think it came from Tim Ferriss, listening to his podcast, if this doesn't feel good, this isn't going to end well. And so what I used the Simplicity Scan myself, not only for the Ebullient.com business, but when people ask me for my opinion or thought or to support their initiative, I do ask them, can you fill out these 15 questions? Sometimes they don't, and that's fine because, quite frankly, if they're not willing or able to fill out 15, I can't say easy questions, but you could say basic questions about their business, even with question marks, then I'm not sure if I want to spend the time advising them if they're not that serious about it. So that's one thing. Also, when I'm getting involved in initiatives and I'm actually being asked to join, what I have learned is I want to do this Simplicity Scan up front with the other principal partners or the other people involved to make sure, at least on the focus domain, do we have the same purpose? Do we have the same idea of who the customer is? Do we have the same concept of what the product is? Do we have the same sort of intent with the experience underneath it? Are we coming at it with the same mindset? So at least those first 5 questions, I need to have a good feeling amongst all of us to see if we're actually on the same page. Because like I said, if it doesn't feel good, this is not going to end well. So Ebullient.com, and in case you don't know, Ebullient is a lovely English word that is not well known. So I was delighted I was able to finally get it. I've been hunting it for a while. It became available. And Ebullient means, on one hand, sort of joyful, playful, even happy. And on the other hand, it also means sort of rough and tumultuous. So there can be an ebullient puppy, and there could also be an ebullient ocean, which means maybe a bit dangerous. And leadership, entrepreneurialism, business life can be very ebullient. So ebullient.com. Why do I do all this? So, I'm still answering the first question. Well, in the past, when I was new to business and management, I used to pride myself on I help people succeed, and I meant it. What I realized later is that's not something I can own. I cannot own the success of someone else. And later, I redefined that through a lot of self-reflection, self-work, dialogue, discussion, getting coaching for myself, and I've rewritten my purpose statement too. I create experiences that enable growth. Now, growth could be financial growth. Ideally, it's personal growth, my own perhaps, or the people I'm working with. And I'm trying to set that stage for these people to do maybe what they wouldn't have originally thought. And the Simplicity Scan is an excellent tool for that. So on nabulink.com, you can download the Simplicity Scan for free. There's the 5 steps to simplicity is this short little silly video course that I've put on there. Again, for free. You can access to this podcast, again, for free. On the very bottom, I have simply put, hey, I also do different types of coaching. And the types of coaching I love to do are basically 3. Teams. So if you have, and this is probably more for scale up to corporate teams, if you have a management team that you need to get on the same page and get alignment quickly, then I would love to run, because they're just so fun to do, these short, intense programs where we do an introduction and then each person on the team fills out the Simplicity Scan. We compare it and we find out where people are what I call violently in agreement and violently in disagreement, because both of those things should be checked. And what you're able to do is get really on the same page very quickly. And it's perfect for a periodic sort of strategy review, or if you're considering a new business line or some sort of change. Simplicity Scan is a nice, fresh way to start that dialogue. The other way is so the second thing I love to do is for people who are considering maybe a career change and they're becoming a solopreneur, so an independent contractor of some sort. And this is a nice way to sort of force into that conversation some reality that, are you sure? Do you understand the entirety of what this means to be a business person? And do it in a very, that's why a lot of the language I use on the Simplicity Scan, I've really tried to make it very human language instead of MBA speak. And the last way is if there's maybe an owner or an executive who themselves are looking for, to simplify their thinking, to accelerate their business somehow. And that's another thing we can do. It's usually between 5 to 8, sometimes it's even 12 sessions. Let's say 8 sessions, where actually we go through those 15 questions on the Simplicity Scan from different perspectives over time. The first discussion is very basic, just to get a little bit oriented. Even the second time I ask the questions, they're slightly different in a slightly different order. And I'm just slicing and bringing these in and reflecting back. And only at the very end do we actually simplify. So I would actually, people really expand and take as many notes as they can the first time or two they use the scan. And then once they've got it all out of their head, they get it into the actual Canvas document. So and that's just delightful. It's a lot of fun. Let me know if I can help. You don't need me, by the way. You can do the Simplicity Scan on your own. If you have a team, just pick someone or your own coach or whoever your trusted advisor is and have that person, collect the canvases when they're filled out and then do the comparison and the contrasting. It's very, very helpful. There are other types of scans that we've made. I'm in part of the exponential organizations and the exponential thinking communities. And so I've made an EXO accelerator, taking the exponential technologies and exponential attributes, combining those with the simplicity view. That's email me if you want that, because that's not yet online. With another group, we've made a sustainability scan. So we've taken the UN Sustainability Development Goals, put those on the Simplicity Scan. and it drives a different dialogue. Currently in progress is sort of a digital scan. So it's taking again these 15 holistic prime numbers of business and looking at it from digital mindset, digital technologies, digital ways of working, as a discussion piece to see how would you look at your business differently, look at your business with a fresh set of eyes, using this tool. So that was the first question. Who am I? What do I do? And why? The second question is, how do I maintain focus on what is most important for the business of eBullient? This is hard for me, honestly. Maybe this is why I coach on these things and I come up with techniques and tools, because I have a serious case of shiny object syndrome, meaning I get distracted very easily. If someone has a problem to solve, I have a hard time sitting down. The bigger and more ugly, even better. So what I like to say is, back to those three things. If I'm involved in a corporate project, either as an employee, as an executive, or as an interim, I focus on that. If I'm involved in a film project, I focus on that. Sometimes at the same time, but those are quite easy to delineate. For other things, I use eBullient as the filter, meaning, can eBullient support this? Can eBullient and Simplicity Scan add value to this? If not, then those are the types of things that I would like to say pass on. So that's been my own way of maintaining focus. I've also done the scan myself. So if you download the Simplicity Scan from eBullient.com, I've included in there not only a blank template of the scan, but also a scan with the leading questions, the 15 questions. And I've also included the latest Simplicity Scan that I've done myself on eBullient. Why? Because it gives an indication of what type of answers you could put in there. And it also gives you an indication of what type of thinking has gone into the scan. So if you're interested in that, as an example, just eBullient.com, about midway through the landing page, put in your email, and you'll get the scan in your email box. So how do you ensure your business continues to grow? Well, eBullient has basically been started this year during the Corona time. As far as impact, creating experiences that enable growth, that is definitely growing. This podcast is part of that, to not only allow myself to discover and connect with people I've known for years and years and years, and also I've been interviewing some people that I've never met before, which is delightful. What I started to do, and I've then stopped, is trying to sell coaching through eBullient.com. I took a how to be a business coach coaching course, and it was a lot of the common sense of knowing your customer and product design and those types of things, which are things that I teach as well, and things that I really try to build into my own experience and process and share with others. But it was really in the end about selling, and I like selling. I'm delighted by going with a group of people or alone, and if you have something you truly believe in and what some people call selling, but selling in such a non-intimate way, something that is so intimate is coaching with myself. So I unraveled all that, and so the way I grow my business is this: sharing with you who I am, what I can do, what kind of value I can create for you. And if you would like to benefit from that, there's lots of ways you can do that on your own. And if you would like to buy some services from me, then down there, click on the button. You can just schedule a time in my agenda. Let's talk about it, and let's see if we click, if I can add value, and what sort of value can we trade in that. And so I'm very flexible with rates. What is it valuable enough for you to do this, to pay for it, and what are you able to pay? Obviously, with corporates, they pay different than someone who just wants 1 hour of time to reflect on a concept. But let's just have that conversation. That was the third question. how do you continue to grow your business? How do I continuously deliver efficiently and effectively? As you can see, these are not the easiest questions. They're written simply, but when you go through the canvas and you could start comparing both horizontally and vertically and checking it, I believe you'll be triggered. And when you are triggered, please share it with me because I love the stories. What I have done is leaned into what I know, which is customer experience design, process, data. So a lot of the things that we do right now, I haven't automated completely, but I definitely have a workflow around it. I've done some deep thinking about what, who is the customer I want? How can that customer come in? Give a lot of value up front, and so people can orient themselves, because before someone would get coaching from me, I hope they would have done the canvas 2 or 3 times and they would have actually extracted a lot of that value already for themselves. That would be great. So then coming to me with, hey, here's my problem that I perhaps can't solve on my own, thinking about the business, trying to accelerate the business. Let's have that conversation. By the way, accelerating the business could also mean accelerating the termination of the business. Because if things are not feeling good and they're not going to end well, this could actually be a time for a very hard conversation. Say, does this make sense? Is the timing right? Do you have the funding? Do you have the oxygen, the runway to get this thing going? These are all questions that must be asked earlier than later. So if you're going through a lean startup approach and you're discovering your value proposition and you're learning, you can add the simplicity scan to that process, and also really ask yourself, I would love this to happen. This is my baby, but will it work? So question 5, how do I manage my own personal energy to keep moving forward? And in there's also, how do I maintain, ensure I'm doing the right actions, and if I'm aware of and managing the right risks and the mindset. So for me, I've been benefiting a lot over my career and my life from coaching, mentors, either formal or informal, and listening to people. So, for example, a marvelous lady who has been a virtual assistant to a few of the businesses I've been involved in, and then we did some back and forth coaching and accountability. She worked through the canvas, and last time I saw her, her sales had sort of spiked. And when I asked her, what are you doing differently? This is marvelous. What's happening? And her feedback was that she stopped selling, selling in a formal way. She went back to what brings her joy. And in this case, that was reading books. And then she built her book reviews into this work she was doing. And before that, she had made an agreement to host and organize these entrepreneurial meetups at the local library. So there's definitely a theme here, and that was really working out for her. So it was beautiful to have that conversation. If I'm lucky, she'll be a podcast interviewee sometime soon. I hope for you, because there's lots of insights there. Other ways I maintain my energy is looking at myself in different ways. So spiritually, intellectually, physically, emotionally. Through my personal trainer, I've learned how to take care of myself physically with diet, water, intermittent fasting, which has been great. Another example is like spiritually, I'm a law of attraction fan, so I listen to some of those videos and things in the morning. Also, I was fortunate enough to take a meditation course here in Amsterdam, and I do that. So guided meditation in the mornings. I really try to make the space to calm myself in the morning before I even check my to-do list, so then I can feel what is most important, as opposed to be directed by maybe external stimulus or expectations. Of course, there's a balance there. And keep moving forward and being aware of what's feeling good, what's not feeling good. Related to this, and this is my answer for question 6, what is something that's really helped me simplify my life? That there's different things, but Trello. So Trello.com, most of you probably know it. There's other things like Asana and other project management tools, but effectively a Kanban board. And that's just 3 columns: to do, doing, and done. I sometimes overcomplicate it. We use it for groceries. But like, for example, digital work, website work, digital marketing work, whatever the topic is, I spin up a Trello board and I can just get out of my brain into the to-do column. Sometimes they have an urgent to-do and maybe a more distant backlog, but what is the to-do column? And then I can already just see that. And in Trello, you can play around with it, put it in different orders. And then you put it in the doing space because that's what you're focused on at that moment in time. The magic is when you can limit the work in progress so you don't have the mental switching costs. And then the done. And then, of course, it's just delightful to move it over there to done. So I love it. I know other people have really automated it and connected it to their email and stuff. I've not gone that deep, but to have the confidence that all of the things, well, there's not all, the things that I've decided to write down and decide to do one day are actually in Trello. It gives me a lot of peace. Not surprisingly, many of those things never get done. And so every once in a while I go through and just curate that and drop a bunch of stuff. And oftentimes I find duplicates in there. Doesn't matter. Clean it up, keep going. Feel good about it. So this is basically the podcast right there. So who are you? What do you do and why? How do you maintain focus on what's most important in your business? That has really to do with purpose, customer, product experience. How to ensure your business continues to grow. So what is your strategic plan? How do you monitor and measure that? What market are you in? Branding's related to that. Continuous and effective delivery. That's people process tooling in a broad sense and data. And momentum is the bottom part of the canvas, because this is all based on the canvas thinking, which is managing energy, personal energy. So that's your mindset, what actions you're taking, and how you're managing the risks to yourself. What is something that simplified your life? Love that question. And then the last question is, how can people get in touch with you? So the best way is just go to ebullient.com. On the bottom, there's a contact Chris. Go there. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. It's Chris Parker CX, as in Chris Parker Customer Experience. I'm definitely there, and I'd love to hear. The people I'm looking for to interview this are not the Elon Musks of the world, but what I'm talking about, real people solving real problems, running their real business, and how they've made it work for them. And that's what I'm looking for, is having conversations with everyday entrepreneurs everywhere. So enjoy. Please subscribe and like and do all those things that you do, because we're just starting out with this. So, tell a friend, give us kudos, give us feedback. If you have recommendations on people who I should talk to in an interview, send them over. So thank you so much.
Learn more at ebullient.com/podcast.